YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with some more NFL content for the upcoming 2018 NFL season. I've been doing all kind of top 10s, mainly did duo rankings, different positions, the best duos in the league in my opinion. I'll eventually get to my top 10s by position, single players, and all kinds of rankings, all kinds of coverage for the upcoming season. But out of the safety duos, very tough. Very, very tough to rank these safety duos. There's some that just missed the cut. So I'd say stick with me here to the end. I'll give you some honorable mentions, some teams that I really considered, some teams that are very close. So we'll get through the top 10, then I'll talk about the honorable mention, the teams that I almost had in here. So let's get on to the top 10. I don't know if, before we do it, I don't know if there's really an elite duo. I don't know, maybe Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas was an elite duo. Can it still be? Is it still at the top of the league? I don't know if there's two elite safeties on the same team. There's some darn good ones, let me tell you that. But I think the number one spot could be up for the grabs. Could be up for grabs during the season. But on to number 10, we're gonna start with the Eagles. Malcolm Jenkins and Roddy McLeod. Obviously, Malcolm Jenkins is the better one there. He had a career year, and he's definitely a veteran, definitely getting up there in age and still balling. So we'll see if maybe he doesn't have as good as a year, a Pro Bowl year. We will see, but I think he can still play at a high level. Rodney McLeod, pretty solid safety as well. So this comes in at number 10. The Eagles at the number 10 spot, which was a battle. I actually had somebody else here at one point. Like I said, ranking these safety duos was tough. Number 9 is going to be the Chicago Bears. Adrian Amos and Eddie Jackson, 38 and 39 there. Two young guys. Adrian Amos surprisingly played very, very well last year. Actually, maybe one of the better safeties in the league. And then Eddie Jackson was a rookie out of Alabama. Now, I mainly cover the draft here on this channel, and I was pretty high on Eddie Jackson, except for the injury. He had a bad leg injury, so that is the reason why the Bears got him a little later. So looks like they got a steal there. But it's just kind of, this could be higher, but we kind of got to see more on these two guys. We got to see more. Amos hasn't been that great, even though he's just came in the league a few years ago, but this last year was a big step up. Some people really aren't believers that he can do it again. We will see. And Eddie Jackson, if healthy, he could play. So maybe a duo to look out for the future. The Bears get number 9 on this list. Number 8 is the Tennessee Titans. Kevin Byard, all-pro safety on the Titans, at the top of the league in interceptions. And then Jonathan Cyprien, who is more of a box safety, but I mean he can play the position very well, but Byard is the reason they're up here, really. But Cyprien can play. Just more of a tackling guy, more of a come up to the line of scrimmage, make the stop on the run play, can cover the pass. But again, Byard is the featured guy here, and that's why they're number 8. And he's still young, so we'll see if he can continue to be an all-pro safety these next few years. That'd be very impressive at his young age. Number 7 is going to be the New York Jets. Jamal Adams, my guy from a year ago in the draft. He was number 2 on my board. And Marcus May. They drafted a pair of safeties in the 2017 NFL draft. So this is definitely one of the ones to look out for the future. Jamal Adams, I'm very high on. I think he can be just a top-tier talent in this league, safety-wise, for really the rest of his career. Next few years is definitely a guy to look out for. Some think Marcus May played just as good or even better than Jamal Adams in his rookie season. So that is a duo I expect to take a big step up. It is a duo I expect to be very good as long as they're together. I mean, if they somehow split up, they would both be very good safeties, but it's definitely one to look out for. So I got the Jets all the way at number 7. I expect big things them going forward. And again, this isn't based off last year. I do consider what they did last year that helps, but this is mainly based off what I think they're going to do this year. But again, their production from last year definitely helps make this list. But it's a list going forward, like all these lists. Number 6 is the Jags. Barry Church, Tayshaun Gibson. Very good duo from this past year. I thought the corners were the main part of that secondary, why they played so well. But these guys are very good. Barry Church getting up there in age. Can he still play at a solid level? I think he can. Maybe won't have as good as a year. I think Gibson's the better one. They come in at number 6. This is where it gets tough because I think the top 6 were clear. They really separate themselves. But I was kind of back and forth on the Jags. I actually had them around that 4-5 range at one point, I believe. But some of these other ones, duos I really like going forward. So number 5 is going to be the Bills. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Very good duo from last year. Kind of a surprising one. I mean, these are two guys that were almost rotational guys. They always played, but they were kind of just part of a rotation. Gave you some good snaps, but really weren't top-tier safeties, maybe because they didn't really get the chance. Jordan Poyer was a guy that was always underrated. I liked him out of Oregon State. Maybe considered undersized, had an injury in the past. So I'm glad to see him get what he deserves here in playing time, and he showed he can play. So I do like this duo a lot. It was very close to being higher, but I just need to see more of these guys. And some consider Hyde the better one here. I think I like Poyer a little better, but both can play if they do what they did last year or better, which they're still somewhat young. So it's possible, then this could be higher on the list, or better ranked on the list, I should say. But just one of those duos I need to see more of. But for only having that 1 year, super good year, 5 is pretty good. So on to number 4, it's going to be the Patriots. Devin McCourty and Patrick Chung. On paper, by these guys' names, you probably think they should be higher. But I think they both had an off year last year. I'm still confident McCourty can be a top safety in the league. Patrick Chung seems to be on a decline, but had some good years. We know both these guys have the talent in them. So I expect them to be better than last year, but let's hope we don't see them on a decline. That's why it is a little risky to have them higher. But by their names, you would think they would be higher. But the safety play, really the secondary play in general, wasn't too great for the Patriots. Wasn't bad at all. But for a Super Bowl contender, you expect it to be a little better. But they come in at number 4. Now we're on to the top 3 teams here. We'll see who makes the big 3. Number 3 is going to be the Rams. LaMarcus Joyner and John Johnson. 2 young guys. Joyner just got franchise tag. Good move there. I thought he had a hell of a year, and he can still play at a high level going forward for many years. And Johnson was a young guy from Boston College. Those Boston College DBs can play. So you expect a lot from these two just because how young they are, how much they can improve. They already improved a lot. John Johnson only had 1 year in the NFL, so you expect more out of him. This could be at the top of the league very, very soon. So I'm excited to watch these 2 guys play. Everyone talks about the 2 new corners on the Rams. Nobody's really talking about the safeties. The safeties are a big part of that defense. So it's definitely the Rams are definitely a team to look out for with these safety duos. I think I think by the end of the year we come back and they can honestly be number 1. We will see. On to the top 2 though. Number 2, this was tough. This was very tough because number 2 is going to be the Seahawks. Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor. This has been like number 1 for how many years? These have been the elite duo. They are both considered elite. Off year last year. Maybe it has to do with injuries. Has to do with what's going on there. Earl Thomas wants to leave apparently. Didn't seem like the secondary was getting along like they used to. The Seahawks are getting rid of guys. So it's tough. These guys have it in them to be elite. Earl Thomas can be the best safety in football, but isn't at the moment. Cam Chancellor, excellent run support safety. Not bad in the pass game, but I always thought maybe wasn't as good as people thought in the pass game when the ball's in the air, but still good, obviously. But just a perfect duo over the past how many years. And I just can't put them at number 1 anymore because injuries and what we've seen. Is it falling apart? Is Earl Thomas really going to leave? That's why I couldn't put them at number 1, but they have it in them. Everybody knows they have the ability to be number 1. Now, number 1, I went with the number 1 defense from last year, which was the Minnesota Vikings, Harrison Smith and Andrew Sendejo. Harrison Smith, obviously everyone knows, all-pro safety. Maybe the best safety in the league. We'll get to my position-by-position rankings. We'll find out there. Andrew Sendejo, very impressive the last few years. It was like 3 years ago. The Vikings defense was starting to go on the rise, and Sendejo was maybe the weak point of that defense. These last 2 years, just insane amount of improvement. And we seen him in that Saints game, big interception, then he got knocked out of the game, and the defense wasn't the same. So this duo is ridiculous. I think there's a shortage on legit safeties, so I think Sendejo is definitely actually towards the top of the safeties, but Harrison Smith is obviously the reason why they're number 1 here. I talked about before just what he does. Covering the draft, you look for safeties, you see what each prospect can do, what they bring to the table. Like there's so many traits safeties can have, and we see this guy's good because he does this. This guy has this though, but Harrison Smith has every single one of those traits. Maybe the only thing he's missing is elite athleticism, elite speed, I should say. He's very athletic, but just anything you can ask the safety to do, play center field, come up in the box, press. It's just he might be the only one in the league that does it all. We'll discuss more of that when we got our safety rankings. But they get number 1. But what I learned from this is number 1 spot's really up for grabs. Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, like I said, was really the only elite duo we've seen, I think, over the past how many years, because both guys were considered elite. Harrison Smith, we look at, he's considered elite. Andrew Steho, not really considered elite. So that's why I mean number 1 is really up for grabs. A lot of these young talents, look at the Jets, look at the Bears. I think I'm kind of curious to see what they do. They played very well last year. They're very young. If they continue to play at that level or get better like you expect the younger guys to do, they can be up here just like that. So I'm excited to see some of these safety deals. But on to the honorable mentions real quick. Other teams I considered, I have quite a few here. The Broncos, Darian Stewart, and then the other Boston College safety, Justin Simmons. That's a pretty good duo. I like the progression of Simmons, see what he does in the near future. But Darian Stewart, kind of on decline last few years, wasn't as good as he used to be, so that was the reason I didn't put them in here. The Texans, Andre Hall, Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu, what is he going to play? Is he actually going to play safety? He kind of played in the box, kind of played corner in his career, seen more corner than safety, so that can be potentially a top 10 safety duo, but we just don't know. The Ravens, Eric Weddle, is he on a decline? He hasn't been playing. He's been playing pretty good, but he hasn't been as good as he used to be. Tony Jefferson, pretty solid safety. That was definitely considered. The Cardinals was a team I had actually in here at one point. They have Bethea and Budda Baker. Tyvon Branch from last year played at an extremely high level, very underrated, but he is not yet signed. Bethea up there in age. Budda Baker, you think he can get better. So the Cardinals were strongly considered there last year. If we're going off last year, they would have definitely made the list. You look at the Chargers. Can the Chargers make the cut with Derwin James in there now? The Dolphins, depending on what they do at Minkah Fitzpatrick, but they do have Jones and TJ McDonald, so that was strongly considered. The Lions have Glover Quinn, but the next to Glover Quinn, is it Wilson? Is it Kilbrew? That's the question. The Niners, Jaquiski Tartt played at a pretty high level last year, so he may be good enough to get this in the cut. But then who's your other safety? Eric Reed's now out. Jimmy Ward, I like Jimmy Ward as a prospect. We need to see more out of him, though. So those are some of the teams I strongly considered. Like I said, the safety duos were probably the hardest one to make. I don't think there's an elite two elite guys on a team. I think that the Seahawks can. They have the potential to be, but I don't know if they will be. The last 2 years, I wouldn't call them both elite. Last year, for sure not. So this year, most likely not. Well, I won't consider both elites, but they have it in them is my point. So that'll do it for the safety duos. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, this one was very hard to rank, so I want to see your guys' rankings. The teams that I named honorable mention, if you think they should be somewhere in there in maybe the 7th or 10 range, I'm not going to really argue with you there. But we're going to keep going on with these duo rankings and then just single out the position rankings. We got plenty of coverage leading up to the season. So stick with us. Please like, subscribe. Our goal is 10K subscribers. Thanks to you guys, we've been able to keep on doing this. We've been growing, so appreciate all the support. But that'll do it for this one. Goodbye.